Hi there folks, welcome to Dunzy's Guitar World. Now if you've watched any of my videos before, it's not just guitars I talk about. I always have some interesting story from way back when. Although how you define interesting is up to yourself. But you know, I like a good ramble as much as anybody else. So this particular story has came about because a guy, John at bishbopboom YouTube channel, an incredibly knowledgeable chap, a huge heavy metal fan, mentioned me in his latest video to do with the new wave of British heavy metal. And I can't believe it. Fantastic. I mean, he loves NWOBHM as much as I do. I think he's in New Jersey, somewhere in America. Crazy stuff, crazy stuff. Anyway, to set the scene, it's 1981 and I grew up in, as you can tell, I'm Scottish. I grew up in Scotland, halfway between Edinburgh and Glasgow, a place called West Lothian. Some call it God's own country. I'm not convinced. I now live in Edinburgh and I have done for nigh on 30 years, but back to the story. So the place I grew up in, Armadale, very, very small place. There was no record shop, so we had to go to the nearest town, a place called Bathgate, which was bigger and it had a record shop. And that's all we needed. So it's 1981, I'm 14, maybe 15, can't remember. It was during the summer I think, so I would have been 14. We saved up our dinner money and we went to, I think we actually walked to Bathgate, about 2 miles. So we walked to Bathgate to the record shop to buy a record. Now the record I was going to buy was, I've saved up my dinner money, and the record was 100 miles per hour by NWOBHM legends Vardis. This, if you don't own this, you should. This is one of the greatest albums ever recorded. It was, you know, right at the peak of heavy metal. It was just absolutely. I can't recommend this album highly enough. I saw Vardis a couple of years ago when they reformed at Brofest, and it was just incredible stuff. I'm getting all teary-eyed here, so sorry folks. I'll be okay in a minute. So anyway, me and my two friends, we saved up our dinner money, go to buy a record. I can't remember what they were buying, but I was definitely buying this. So I get this album, and some versions of it came with a poster. But unfortunately, this one didn't come with a poster. But worse than that, it came with the inside cover of what looks like the McVicker soundtrack, Roger Daltrey. I don't know if you can see that, Roger Daltrey. But it is 100 miles an hour by Vardis. It is a proper album. It's just in the wrong sleeve. I don't think that counts as a mispress. I don't think it's worth any particular great shakes. So, as we're going upstairs into the record shop, which was called Budgie's Record Shop, it wasn't owned by the band Budgie. They were from Wales, they weren't from Scotland. So we go upstairs, and there's two long-haired guys standing at the top of the stairs, and they accost us and say, "Alright guys," because I think we had denim jackets with patches, and we must have looked like we're part of the same tribe. "Alright guys, do you want to buy our single?" And you know, we were kind of like, oh geez, I don't know, how much is it? And I think it was maybe, I'm maybe making this up, but I don't think it was about £1.49, £1.50 or something like that. Which, I don't know what that is in 2020 money. So we were like, I think one of us went, yeah, because I only had enough money for the Vardis album. And so we bought the single. I think we put money in and we bought a copy of the single. And they signed it for us. Two of the guys signed it. They signed it in green ink, I remember that. Now, the band were, I need my other prop here, the new wave of British heavy metal by Malk Macmillan. Now, Malk is a top chap. He gave me bootlegs of bands I'd never even heard of. And this is all you ever need to know about NWOBHM. And if, interestingly, like all my stories, if you look in the acknowledgements at the back here, it says thank you to William Dunsmore, that's me. Dunsy's not my real name, William's my real name. Thanks to William Dunsmore, because I scanned all the pictures in for Malk for this for this magnificent tome. Mark came round to my house a couple of times, and we scanned in all his stuff, and he brought loads of rare singles, which I transferred to CD. That must have been, I don't know, 20 years ago, and I can't find the CDs. Tearing up again here. Anyway, so in Mark's tome, it turned out the band whose single that we bought were called Hazzard. Hazzard. John Relly, vocals, guitar. Gordon Muirhead, guitar. Geordie King, bass, and Arthur Cook on drums. So let's see what Mark says about them. The talented Hazzard were one of the minor players on the Scottish NWOBHM scene, always doing their best in terms of organising their own live appearances and attempting to share some of the glory afforded to the nation's musical heroes, but failing to achieve the same level of recognition as a more prominent Holocaust or Heavy Petting, for example. The foursome, based on the outskirts of Edinburgh, appear to have formed at the height of the NWOBHM explosion, deciding that they could compete quite strongly with all these English types who were suddenly the toast of the music press. Invariably, however, their small-time activities and gigs in front of small local crowds failed to make headlines further afield. Sad stuff. Now, when he says the outskirts of Edinburgh, he means West Lothian. These guys were actually from Whitburn, which was 2 miles away from Armadale, so we'd heard of these guys, but I never thought I would meet them. And they must have only been about 4 years older than us, but it was like, you know, these guys have got proper long hair and they've just made a record and they've just signed it. Incredible stuff when you think about it, when you're 14 years old. It was probably like meeting Deep Purple in 1972. So anyway, fast forward a few years, and I'm playing in a band from Armadale called Arizona, which is somewhat strange being in a band from Armadale and West Lothian and calling your band Arizona, but we did it because we liked the Scorpions song of Blackout. We liked Arizona. It came on at a disco once, and I think we were playing at it, and we were called Suicide Solution. So we thought, oh, that's a great tune. It's like, oh, Scorpions, Arizona, let's call our band Arizona. So we called our band Arizona. So anyway, we were doing some gigs with a band called Assassin, and who's playing guitar with Assassin but Gordon Muirhead, the guy from Hazzard. So we did a few gigs with Assassin, who were a great NWOBHM band in their own right, and the guitarist left to join Excalibur. I can't remember the guy's name who played guitar, but what I do remember is he had 2 4x12 Marshall guitar cabinets, but strangely the cabinets were like 4 up. You know, it wasn't like four square, it was like one end, 4, 2 of them. It's the most bizarre thing I'd ever seen. So he left, Stevie I think his name was, he left to join Excalibur to play rhythm guitar and keyboards, and the guys from Assassin asked if I would join the band. And well, I didn't obviously, but yeah, I could have been playing in a band with Gordon Muirhead from Hazzard. I doubt it would have been that successful, but you know, there you go. So I ended up with a single which I had for years and years. The single was called Snake in the Grass, and the B-side was Kick to the Ground. Now, once I eventually stop talking, once I eventually shut up, I'll go through the tunes on the old guitar, on the old 6-string, electric 6-string, and we'll see how to play them. So I would imagine that there's nobody else on the internet today showing how to play 2 Hazzard songs. But the sad point of this story is when I was sailing the good ship Dunsey through a bit of fiscal turbulence in the early noughties, I sold the single on eBay. I sold the autographed Hazzard single on eBay. Now I don't know how many they would have signed, but I don't imagine they signed more than about 100. But it goes for quite a good penny these days, never mind it being signed in green. I still remember Gordon signing in green pen. So there you go. That's my obscure NWOBHM story. And as I say, thank you to John at bishbopboom for mentioning me and putting this story in my head. So without any further ado, I will plug my guitar in. Cheers for now.
You're never second when they call the noise. You're always on about the things you do. But you admit it, you ain't got a clue yet. Because Mr. Big, pain in the ass, Mr. Noah is making the grass. Pain in the ass, Mr. Noah is making the ground.